Hi everyone, my name is Matt from Gboost Technology. Today we're going to walk you through installing one of our clutch calibration kits on a 2012 and a half to current Yamaha cart. This will also apply to Quietech carts. You may have to adjust the instructions a little bit. It will also apply to 2007 to 2012 carts with updated FBT clutches. Your first step is going to be to make sure the cart's on a level surface and in park, and to remove your seat. So you're going to take these two out, they're 10 millimeter. Pull your hold down, pull your cables, set them to the side, and remove your battery. So next you're going to remove your two 12 millimeter body panel bolts. Where you removed the first bolt, pry up on the body panel and place an 11/16 steep well socket underneath. This will allow you to gain access to the drive clutch bolt. Next step is going to be to actually get underneath the cart. You're going to place your 22 millimeter socket on your drive clutch bolt. Again, I'm using power tools for efficiency. We always recommend hand tools. Get it nice and seated down there and remove. Our next step is going to be to pull the drive clutch. This particular machine takes in our DCP or our SGP3. All Yamaha 2012 and a half and up with FBT clutches are going to use this, and also 2007 to 2012 with the updated FBT clutches will use this same tool. These are the strongest pullers on the market. For this, you're going to be back underneath the cart. You're going to slide it in to the drive clutch. Be absolutely certain to thread this in by hand. Once it's seated all the way, you can then remove the clutch. Next, you're just going to want to remove the drive clutch after it's popped off, along with both belts. Now that we have the drive clutch removed, your next step would be to remove the driven clutch. It's a 12 millimeter bolt. It will come off with a spacer and a washer. And remove the driven clutch. Once you have both clutches removed, your next step is going to be to take apart the rear driven clutch. This uses our DCP21 compression tool. This tool will work for E-Z-Go Club Car and Yamaha rear driven clutches. Before any disassembly of the driven clutch, you are going to want to mark with a Sharpie on the shaft, the helix, and the sheave, just to make sure it all gets put back together in the same orientation. To use this tool, you're going to want to remove the nut, the washer, and the hold down fixture, and place the driven clutch with the spring and the helix up. Once your driven clutch is installed on the tool, take your hold down fixture, your washer, and your nut, and hand tighten. Once hand tight, you're going to want to take a wrench to relieve the spring pressure off your washer and your snap ring. Once your spring pressure is relieved, you can take your snap ring pliers and remove the snap ring. Once your snap ring is removed, you're going to want to back off your DCP21, which will relieve all the spring pressure. And you can remove your hold down fixture, your washer, and your nut, along with the snap ring, a washer, your helix, and your spring. It's crucial to the performance of this kit to inspect and grease these clutches. Check for wear, check your ramps, make sure it's a good flat surface. Also check your sheave surfaces for grooving or wear. Also, your grease zerk is here, and your relief hole is here. Every calibration kit comes with different colored springs, so refer to your directions for the different options. First step is to install your spring, followed by your helix, and your washer and snap ring. Once everything's seated, you can reassemble your DCP21 compression tool, your hold down fixture, your washer, and your nut. Here's where you're going to refer to your alignment marks you made. Once everything's seated, you can begin to tighten down your spring. It's critical that you do not damage these splines. This should spin freely. You're going to need to use two hands. Just carefully, again, referring to your marks, line the splines up. If it does become stiff, not going on, back it off, readjust, and try it again. Once your splines are lined up, go ahead and snug it down. This time you can reinstall your snap ring. You're going to want to make sure this is fully seated before you release the spring pressure. Once you confirm that your snap ring is fully seated, you can back off your DCP-21 compression tool. Remove your nut, your washer, your hold down fixture. Remove your clutch. This is now ready for installation. Now that we've completed our driven clutch, we can move on to our drive clutch. The following steps will apply to Stage 2 kits. Stage 1 kits do not require disassembly of the drive clutch. However, you still do want to inspect and clean before reassembly. Our first step would be to remove the cover with the 3 Phillips screws. Again, on this, just like the driven, you're going to want to mark for alignment for reassembly. There are a lot of small parts in this clutch, so just be very careful with organization. Make sure you don't drop anything on the floor. To access your 2mm stop screws, you're going to want to lift the sheave. You'll then see there's 2 on each pin. You'll need to remove them both. Once you have your 2 set screws removed, you're going to remove your pin and your 2 washers. And then repeat that for the next 2. Once your pins and your washers are removed, you can lay your links back and remove your spider. Flip it upside down and remove your next 3 set screws along with the pins. Now that we're all disassembled, we can begin reassembly with our new weights, 2 washers, and the pins. This does get a little tedious. 1 washer on each side of the weight, place it in the spider, and install your pin. Take this time to inspect the clutch as well as with the driven. If anything looks wore out or damaged, now is definitely the time to replace it. We can continue with reassembly with the spider, using your alignment marks from before and making sure the splines line up on the shaft. Once everything is realigned, we can reinstall our links to our weights using our pin, our washers, and our set screws. We can repeat that process for all 3 weights. Once everything's reinstalled inside the clutch, we can reinstall our clutch cover with the 3 Phillips screws, making sure that the cutout for the grease zerk is over the grease zerk. At some point during this process, you're going to want to check your sheaves. Scuff them with a Scotch-Brite pad and clean them with a rag and brake cleaner. Your first step of reassembly is going to be to install the driven clutch. Then you'll install your spacer, your washer, and your bolt, and tighten to spec. Next, after your driven clutch is installed, you can install your belts. Make sure that you install them so you can read them from the outside of the machine. After your belts are installed, we can install the drive clutch. This will take 2 hands, and you may need a little bit of patience. Once everything's in place, you can reinstall your drive clutch bolt. Being sure to start with your hand thread and then tighten to spec. Now that our clutches are installed and torqued, we can replace our battery and our battery tray. First, you can remove your 11/16 deep well socket and replace both bolts that hold the battery tray. Next, we'll replace your battery. Be sure not to crush any wires and reinstall your battery hold down. And again, I'm using power tools for efficiency. We always do recommend using hand tools. Next, we're going to replace our battery cables. Be sure in routing you aren't touching the muffler and nothing's going to grab the clutching. After your battery is tight, you're done with installation. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope this was helpful. Feel free to contact us on our website if you have any questions. Also check us out on Facebook and Instagram to keep up on our latest products.